Hey, and now welcome back to another exciting episode of I'll Tell You a State. You give me the capital and a horror film set within that state, or don't. Lose your finger, lose your life.
New Mexico.
Albert, no. Santa Fe, Hills Have Eyes.
While making room on your shelves for all that tuna, how about making room for this, a Cadillac Coupe de Ville?
Rhode Island.
Providence. Conjuring. The Conjuring. Utah.
Ooh, Salt Lake City. Now, I believe
Better answer
the
soon.
sequel was shot there because I want to put in the line,
Garbage Day!
but I better go
Time's
with what I
running
know,
out.
the original Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Darn it.
Minnesota.
St. Paul.
Almost no time left.
And the movie is... Ooh, Jennifer's Body. Alaska.
Juneau. 30 Days a Night. Kentucky.
Frankenstein. Frankfurt. And...
Time's almost up.
Wait, Return of the Living Dead. North Dakota.
Bismarck. And
I can almost taste your finger.
my favorite Jennifer Aniston movie, Leprechaun. South Carolina.
Charleston. And... Slither?
Stop it out.
Man, I could have sworn it was Charleston. Well, take your pick.
Careful, only one.
Welcome to the extravaganza that is the Horror Geeks Part 5.
5 already? 5 feels like we're a thing now. Like, we got 5.
It does.
It's a thing.
5 does kind of feel official. Like, you've been dating someone for 4 months, it's still kind of, but 5, it's like,
That's
yeah.
the real deal. Like, you're in.
So, dude, it's been a long time.
I know, it's been a month.
It is really good.
I missed you. I
to
missed
see
your missed your head and missed your body.
Yeah, I shaved today just for you.
Yeah, it feels so squeaky clean.
It does. It does. So yeah, we took.
I'm not making that noise. His head is making.
So we took a little break. I went back home for a little bit.
Indiana, right?
Indiana. I needed to kind of take a step back and get some business things in order.
Yes, you've been
We're
working
still
very hard.
trying to get the TV show picked up.
That's right.
And maybe have some developments. Don't want to say anything now, but who knows? So, Andy, we have a ton of stuff to get through in just about 3 minutes because I want to get into the show. So, dude, what's been happening in your life? Come on,
Oh
tell me.
man, yeah, I've been sleeping and eating all that. Let's get back to us and the Horror Geeks.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Patreon. You've been working your buns off on this bad boy.
I have.
We filmed some stuff, some really fun stuff a couple of weeks ago, but you've been editing and going nuts.
We feel like we're doing something really, really cool for you guys. Something new, something unique that's not out there.
Different.
And if not good, then different.
Yeah, but good.
Hopefully
Maybe.
good.
You guys decide.
So we hope you guys really like it.
We think.
I just can't keep up doing what we're doing without some help.
I put in some hours on this thing, but this man right here, he's just 60-hour weeks editing. And it's crazy how much time and energy, all the little cutaways you see, all the little fun gags, all the visuals, that's all this man here. And you've done a tremendous job.
Thank you.
But he needs a little help.
We do need some help. So if you guys could
Check
please
it
go
out.
to our Patreon page, please support us. We have a lot of cool things to offer you guys for just $1 a month. Every
$1
episode that we do, you get to see the bloody bonus, which is between 20 and 30 minutes of us and one of our guests just kind of talking about life or horror
cool.
video games. And
Just riffing, you know?
Some stuff. So get a chance. Hopefully it gives us a chance to let you get to know us better. We're still going to keep doing the episodes for free, but only 3 out of 4 every month. For just $5, you get to see our special episode that's
Exclusive.
only for our Patreon subscribers.
Totally exclusive to you.
And who knows what could happen? Who knows?
After all these years, I have finally tracked down Michael Myers!
I actually have to cut out a bunch of stuff for these segments that you guys don't get to see, so we can do some extended cuts, we can do some outtakes, because there's a lot of goofiness that happens behind the scenes. Wagga, wagga, wagga.
Good evening. I'm Chase. What's my name again?
So yeah, please check that out. We even have some other rewards. We really need your support to keep this show going. Real quick, our social media, Facebook is facebook.com/The Horror Geeks. Twitter and Instagram @The Horror Geeks. Also want to give a quick shout out to an Instagram handle called Decay Retro Apparel. They do some like retro t-shirts and stuff. Transitioning back to some business.
Yeah.
I experienced something that was a tragedy, not for myself. I'm not going to make it about me. But it was really kind of crazy. Put a lot of things into perspective. Haven't decided yet whether I'm going to talk to you guys about it or not. But I decided to break out my Sasha Grey Love t-shirt because we all need a little bit more love in this world.
We do. And this...
Speaking of...
Oh, there it is.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
I know, I missed you, sir. I missed you so much. Speaking of love, we are talking about the United States of horror and how much horror is here in our home turf.
Andy, I have to give you an update. When I was back on my trip, I was away for a couple weeks. I had a lot of time to reflect and think about some things. And Charlotte and I have broken things off.
Oh, thank God.
No longer a thing. So I want you to be okay with that.
It's cool. It's cool. I'm glad it's over. I was kind of worried about both of you, mostly her.
I learned my lesson. So now to get back to United States of Horror. I've talked to you guys about this a little bit in the past, but my papa was the one who made Barry into the horror geek that he is. I am here with my dad, Bob Morgan. Say hi, Dad.
Hello.
And we are in beautiful, peaceful, relaxing Indiana. And remember, everyone...
Indiana Beach, where there'll always be more than corn. This is Spoiled Again in Indiana.
So, Dad, I'm really, really excited to do this segment. We're doing this episode, we're calling it the United States of Horror. And we're sort of talking about horror movies and stuff set in different states. So, since I was born in Indiana, you were born in West Virginia, I thought we could talk about some of our own experiences. When I was growing up, you'd pick me up at Mom's, and we'd drive to Logansport and do some comic book shopping, and then drive to Rochester, rent 2 or 3 horror movies, sit in our tiny cabin where we grew up, and then the next day do some more comic book shopping, and then go to Warsaw and rent a couple more horror movies.
And I always look forward every weekend to pick you up and bring you to Lake Palestine.
Yeah.
Which is the first cousin of Crystal Lake.
Now, Dad, you grew up in West Virginia. And when I say West Virginia, I mean West Virginia.
Correct. Now remember, there were no TVs.
Yeah.
There wasn't even electricity.
Yeah.
But there were many, many horror stories.
There's an old graveyard way back deep in them woods.
There's nothing any better than sitting around and telling ghost stories.
Yeah.
I'm sure that many were fictitious.
Well, I knew you were full of shit.
No. But by my experience, I know that some were not. My parents had picked me up and took me up to my stepmother's parents. By the time we got there, it was about 11 o'clock. So everybody went to bed, but I stayed up. It was a horrible storm. I didn't know there was a washout till the next day. But I was lying there, and it was thundering and lightning. And I heard somebody get up in the back room and come walking down the hallway. They walked down the hallway, and they walked in the kitchen. Well, I just thought someone was getting up to get something to eat. So then they came and walked into where I was sleeping in the living room. And they came in, and they sat down in a vinyl couch straight over from me. There were 2 couches. I was sleeping on one. There was one on the other side of the room. So after a while, they get up and go back into the bedroom. Okay. So then the footsteps come down the hallway again, go into the kitchen, and the pan starts rattling again. Okay, no problem so far. Come back in and sits down in that final couch across from me. Get up, they go back into the other side of the house or the bedroom. Half a dozen times this happened. After about the second time, I started shutting my eyes or putting my coat over my head. I can't remember. The fifth or sixth time, I tried to look over across the room. I couldn't see, but then there was a lightning flash.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing over there. The lightning flash was over. Whatever was there, which I could not see, got up and walked back into the back bedroom again, and then I started yelling. Okay, the next morning I'm telling these people what happened, and well, I don't know, it was a cat or something. Well, come to find out later on, I don't know if it's had anything to do with it or not, but there was one of their kids had passed away in that living room when he was just a young kid with some kind of disease.
Whew. So, unfortunately, that's about all the time we have. But, Dad, once I get this online and the agents and managers in Los Angeles see this, you're going to be getting some phone calls. So, thanks for sharing those stories with us, Dad.
We'd like to introduce a new show here on the Horror Geek Cast. Pamela Voorhees, Words of Wisdom. Pamela, thank you so much for being here today. How does it feel to be out of Horror Town, USA, and in the dazzling Hollywood?
Well, first off, Andrew, I wanted to say thank you. You seem like a very nice young man.
Thank you.
Although the weather here in Los Angeles is quite beautiful, I really should be back in Horror Town, but it seems as though that Chase Conroy has accused me of murder.
Well, I'm Mrs. Voorhees, an old friend of the Christies.
Despite what that media fat cat from Dubuque has been saying, the police have, in fact, arrested my son. And so that, Andrew, is why I have traveled here to Los Angeles to try and seek out a lawyer capable of handling his defense and to start the Jason Voorhees Legal Defense Fund.
Which you can contribute to on our Patreon page. And for just the $13 level, Pamela here will send you a personalized thank you video.
Send? Well, why can't I visit them in person?
Well, Pamela, that would be a violation of your bail agreement while the murder charges are being sorted out.
Agreement? I'll tell you, I'll get that, Chase Conroy.
Let's just transition here. What exactly are your words of wisdom, Pamela? If you wouldn't mind explaining.
Well, I'm glad you asked, Andrew. You might think that I would say something like, don't have sex, but I'm really not that prudish. Although I will say, if you are going to engage in those carnal activities, be sure to put a sock on the pickle before it goes into the hoo-ha.
Well, this has gotten awkward extremely fast. Pamela, if you're not giving advice about sex per se, then what are you talking about?
Well, Andrew, it's simple. Never go into the ocean. Nothing ever good happens of people going into the ocean. There are terrible things in the ocean. Sharks, killer whales, tentacle monsters, Lovecraftian monsters, humanoids from the deep. Tell me what good happens when people go into the ocean?
Fair enough. Oceans are extremely, extremely dangerous. Now, how about lakes?
Oh, lakes. You're welcome to come to lakes. Lakes are perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, you might find me in the woods somewhere, or under your bed, or at the archery range. We all love archery ranges, don't we?
Snake Mountain with Echo Microphone from the Masters of the Universe collection. Action figures each sold separately.
So let's dig in deep. Let's crawl into the subconscious of America and pull out all the dirty, grimy, filthy stuff.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
Now, some states in America are just, it's really easy. You think of like Arizona. Oh, obviously Psycho was there. Jaws. Oh, Massachusetts. Children of the Corn. Nebraska.
We're going to be touching on some states in the Union. There's 50. We don't have time for all that, but we've got a few for you. First off is Maine. Who does not think of Stephen King when you think of Maine? We've got It coming out. By the time you've seen this episode, it will have already premiered.
What premiered?
It.
No. What?
Yeah, It.
Oh, the movie It.
Yes.
You want to go see it?
Which one?
It.
I love seeing movies in the theater, but which one do you mean?
It. Stephen King's It.
Oh, Stephen King's I just said that.
I lived in Maine for 4 years, and I can definitely see how that is sort of a playground for Stephen King's imagination. It was a really cool place. I enjoyed living there. It's just a little bit off.
Creepy?
Not really like off weird, just kind of like off from normal. So for a non-Stephen King movie, Lake Placid is amazing. John Schneider?
Yep.
From Dukes of Hazzard fame?
Amazing.
Betty White?
If I had a dick, this is where I'd tell you to suck it.
What do you think of when you think of Illinois?
Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween.
Haddonfield.
Halloween.
Good old Haddonfield. Where Dr. Loomis tries to track down Michael Myers!
Doesn't he look like Loomis? Old Loomis.
Well, old Loomis, I need to grow a little bit of my back hair in, not my back hair, but the back of my head hair. So other than Halloween...
Ooh, Candyman.
Candyman. Such an iconic Chicago horror movie. They do a lot of those overhead aerial
very
helicopter
urban
shots.
Feel, yeah.
Get to see Cabrini Green, Virginia Madsen, Tony Todd as Candyman. He has that sort of just presence.
Yeah.
When he speaks like Candyman.
Be my victim.
The stars at night are big and bright.
Deep in the heart of Texas. Texas, well, who can not think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah.
It's got Texas in it. We just lost Toby Hooper right after losing Ramiro. Very sad. This movie was a game changer. It revolutionized indie filmmaking. It revolutionized horror. It revolutionized Texas and chainsaws.
There's lots of other horror movies in Texas. I mean, a lot of us probably think of House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been confused on whether The Town That Dreaded Sundown took place in Texas or Arkansas. Now, I know in the movie Scream, Dewey says...
Yeah, I was going to say, doesn't Dewey say?
Texas, huh?
That's how I know that answer.
But I don't know. Maybe one of you can clear that up.
Hello.
We've been talking about Scream a lot. It's probably the movie that got me into being a horror geek, and it took place here.
In the town of Woodsboro.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
I really wanted to talk about The Purge. The first two, they definitely bring this element of kind of a microcosm about society and class.
I'd feel remiss if I didn't mention The Fog.
Don't you mean remissed?
Ooh. The Fog, I thought about mentioning because in episode 4, I cut that little part in where John Carpenter talked about The Fog being directly related to the EC comics. And The Fog has Jamie Lee Curtis and the biggest stud in horror, Mr. Tom Atkins.
And now, the top 10.
Alright, so this is such a blast from the past. Ted Payson, how you doing?
Pretty good. I think the last time you saw me, my hair and my beard was a little less white.
Yeah, you got a little gray in there. Ted and I, along with Maria Olson, used to do a podcast that we called 1313 Blood Lane. So Ted, we wanted to do, for this episode, top 10 favorite road trip horror movies, because the episode's about like the United States and horror movies that take place in different states. And what's more American than road trips?
Exactly. Muscle cars, road trips, all that kind of stuff.
American pie. Apple pie.
Oh, gin? Should we just jump right into it?
Yeah, let's jump right in.
All right, so number 10, I put Trip with Teacher. Trip with Teacher is made in the 1970s, and I actually came across this movie because I got this huge grindhouse 150 horror movie set.
That movie, I feel like it kind of took a little bit from Last House on the Left, where it's just kind of
for sure. It was definitely one of those types of rip-off movies.
At the very end, after these women just gone through this horrible thing, the guy, of course, there's a guy who saves them, but they're like, "Bye, Jay," or "Bye, Jimmy," or whatever. And they're like, "Have a good day." And it's so bizarre.
After people have been murdered and raped. Number 9, everybody's seen. But have you seen the actual version? I first did not like this movie because I saw the original Death Proof as part of the Grindhouse in theaters. And, while it was good, it wasn't, I think, one of Tarantino's best works. But later on, I saw the 2-hour version for the full feature, and I loved it. The Devil's Rejects. I know you're a huge Rob Zombie fan. I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan. While I didn't really like House of a Thousand Corpses that much because it was very reminiscent of just a bad Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I thought from then on I kind of liked every single movie more and more that he was making, and I think Devil's Rejects was definitely the best of any of the movies he's made. Jeepers Creepers 2. Now looking back on it, you can see the guy who directed it through what was going on with all the oiled up teenage boys on top of buses and stuff, but after a basketball game, their bus breaks down and they're attacked by the monster from the first Jeepers Creepers. Next, Joyride, one of Paul Walker's most underrated films.
Joyride is so good. I think Steve Zahn is also one of the most underrated comedic.
Isn't there 4 movies now, Joyride? I honestly, after 2, I just like...
There's definitely 3. Part 2 has Nikki Acox in it, who I've had a crush on for a long time.
You have a lot of horror crushes. Still, that's definitely something that's reminiscent of the podcast. Every female mention, horror crush.
That's right.
And some males, horror crush.
Yes.
Rest Stop. Indie film, wasn't expecting much of it, and honestly was blown away by it.
It's one of those that flies under the radar. I think they made a sequel to that.
Yeah.
Although if I remember right, I didn't like the sequel nearly as much as I liked the original. But it's kind of this really interesting, definitely indie. But I feel like maybe they got a permit, maybe they didn't, but they just found like a rest stop out in the middle of nowhere. And it's kind of got this sort of, otherworldly thing going on, but it's done very subtly. I agree with you. I think it's a really good movie.
Wormwood. Have you seen this movie?
Wormwood is one that I have not seen. I know a lot of people like it for whatever reason. I haven't got around to it.
The zombies actually run off of gasoline. They drink gasoline. So that's why all the cars and stuff are stopped and everything, because these zombies are drinking the gasoline and they actually feed off of just energy in general. So it's, post-apocalyptic, tons of gore, tons of zombies, and this new spin of gasoline drinking zombies. Hills Have Eyes, but not the original. This is the remake. Definitely a road film because their car breaks down and now they're in the middle of the hills.
Yeah.
Which happen to have eyes.
Yeah, they do have eyes. Beady eyes. Maybe some googly eyes. Who knows? But yeah, Hills Have Eyes for me, it's probably the only remake that I like better than the original.
You didn't like the new Wicker Man more than the original?
What is it? What's wrong, sister?
So number 2, nobody's heard of. This was one of my favorite movies growing up. It was a movie called Dudes, and it actually stars John Cryer. And he's not a nerd in this. He's actually a punk rocker who lives in New York, decides to go on a road trip to go to LA and have a band with his friends, and one of his friends ends up getting into a little bit of a scuffle with some rednecks in Texas, and chaos ensues from there. Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah. The thing that I remember from that movie the most, because when it came out, that was when I was into comic books, just the Green Goblin truck. Was just like the coolest thing.
Based off of Stephen King work, and it's about a bunch of cars and electronics when they all come to life and try to kill humans and take them off the face of the earth.
All right, Ted. Well, thanks so much for your top 10. That was great. You gave me a couple movies that I need to watch. If you don't mind, why don't you stick around for the bloody bonus?
Faux show.
Are you ready, dear?
Yes, damn you.
This is a fun episode, I felt like. Got to hear some of those cool ghost stories from West Virginia from my dad. I remember hearing those when I was a kid. Like, those were my bedtime stories.
How did you sleep at all?
Or
did you? Maybe that explains why you're
Maybe he gave me a bunch of NyQuil or something right before bed.
You're an angel of mercy.
Vicks NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever, so you can rest medicine.
So next episode, which will be out next Tuesday, we have a surprise for you guys. Our horror geek family is growing. So don't want to reveal who it is yet, but we're going to have someone on the show next week who I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of. So pretty excited about that. Now, before we go, I do want to talk about something that I witnessed. My girlfriend and I, Shalou, witnessed. We were driving back from Yosemite, did the quick, barely got out of the car tour of Yosemite, and we were driving back home, and we stopped in this little town, just in the middle of nowhere, at a Jack in the Box to get some food and to go to the bathroom. And I came out of the bathroom and saw Shalou looking toward the door, terrified, confused. There was a young man, probably early 20s, who had been shot in the neck, at close range. And we saw him bleed out and pass away, right in front of us. And just one of those moments, crazy things happen all the time in real life.
Yep.
And, we love our horror movies. I feel like that's part of the reason why we love them, even as a culture love them, because it gives us sort of a
safe
place.
Point.
Yeah, safe place with which to view things and become scared and get that kind of, brain chemistry rush.
Right.
But you know that you're safe. You know that you're just watching something on a television or your laptop or, these days your tablet or your phone. But there's a barrier there.
Right.
But obviously crazy things happen, horrible things happen, tragic things happen. It was pretty crazy. But I just want to say to all of you guys, please find someone that you love. Tell them that you love them. I know in our everyday lives we get busy and get caught up with things, and we don't stop to take enough time to tell people that we care about them. So
I care about you, Barry.
Thank you. Thank you. Please do us this little favor and tell someone that you love them, because things can happen really, really fast. So thanks for being with us on this show, you guys, and we'll see you next week.